Hey everybody, it's Angel from Halo Inspirations. We give you inspirations to help you spread beauty and joy through your quilting journey. Yes, it is the part 2 of labels today, and happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. Happy hump day, that is. So, labels. Something I did mention at the end of the last video, but if you missed it, labels are the beginnings of telling your story of your quilt, or the story of the recipient, or the story of you. And with stories, it's a way of all of us on the human side to start making that connection. And in my opinion, and it's just mine, but it's one of the best parts of quilting, is the story. And it's because it does give you a connection to the quilt, to the maker, or to the recipient. So they're huge and they're very, very important. So this part 2 is kind of some ideas, and there's so many out there that I'm probably going to do label videos in the future, because there's just so many things that you can do. One of the first things I did want to mention, I don't have a copy of it right now, but one of the things I did want to mention was that, there are places that you can buy yardage of labels. They're already printed on the fabric, and you can just simply cut them out. You can find them in a lot of places, and one place is spoonflower.com, and I'll throw a picture up here and I actually took a picture of the screen that I saw within Spoonflower, and you can see that there are some they have a lot of different types of labels. Now you're only going to get to be able to see a couple of them, but they have so many variations, and you can simply buy a panel or a yard of it, and when you get them in, you simply cut them up, and then you can place them on your quilt. Now you will have to write on them, and that's where last week's came in, on different writing utensils. You will have to write on those kinds, but they do even have different subscriptions out there that you can get pre-printed, and they'll come to you once a month, or you can order a custom one from different places that are pre-printed on there. So that is an option. If it's not an option for you, there are different things that you can do. So one of the first things that you can do, and if you'll look down, oh no, I'm going to switch the screen so it's bigger for you. I'll be in a little corner somewhere. But this first one is one of my orphan blocks. And I honestly thought this would make, if you had made a quilt and you made it with this block per se inside of a quilt, you could make an extra one and use this on the back. And this one I thought was really neat because I wouldn't have to put another border on it per se. And you could write in the triangles or on the sides any information that you wanted to give. Okay, and I thought that was really, really neat. So any quilt that you're making, if you just make one extra block that will match that front, it's an idea. Or if you have a multitude of extra orphan blocks. Now, some of them I would encourage you to put a border on it, and maybe it's the same border, maybe it's the same fabric that you used on your backing. Then you could place it on the back of your quilt. And there are many methods to do that too, so I think that's another thing that I'll tackle in the future. I am going to go over one method to put your labels on the back of your quilt today. So maybe that is something that is also talked about in later videos. So there's so many variations of things you can do. So that was one idea, is that you could use an orphan block, right? The second idea was, this is just a simple 6x6 block that you could use. You could very simply fold this in half as a triangle, okay? And then you could actually, I'm just going to write the word test. Okay. And you could just give it a nice little press right here, and then I will show you. I'm going to put this on a practice sandwich and show you how I would apply this label and some other ideas here. But this was a 6-inch block. I folded it in half, and I'm going to put it inside the binding. And you could very simply write some information inside of this block, okay? And another way, and that is not very expensive, by the way. I mean, you could use scrap fabric, you could use leftover fabric from your backing if you had any, and then it would match if it's something that you're going to be able to see on, right? Another thing is you can order them pre-done, okay? And this is an example. Somebody embroidered this. I don't have an embroider machine, so I cannot do this kind of thing myself, so it does have to be ordered. And they'll come a lot of times with this extra fabric for you so that you can get this whole thing on your back of your quilt. And there are a couple ideas with this too, but the method that I'm going to show today is very simply how I will put it and apply it to the back of a real quilt. So one of the things I am going to do, because I'm going to stitch this into my backing, into my binding, I will lose, it'll be a 1/4 inch, and I don't think this is far enough. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to press out the best I can these wrinkles, and then I'm going to put in a new one based on, probably do a 1/2 inch from these points from these points. That way when I sew in a 1/4 inch, it won't take away from it. And I'll show you once I get this applied how I permanently get this to be affixed to your quilt top. So those are some ideas that you can do. And like I said, I'll do more videos, but I'm going to go ahead and get this prepped, and I'm going to go ahead and get it onto the quilt. And when I come back, you'll be able to see how it's been placed and how I get it the rest of the way finished, because there's only going to be 2 sides that are affixed to your quilt, right? So I'll get it all on there, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, so I really debated on how I was going to handle this. So I'm going to talk through this, and I want y'all to be very comfortable understanding that if there's something else that you want to see, and I'll talk about that in just a second, I'm very okay with it, and I will make sure that I do it. But here we are. I do have all the binding done. Yep, it's finished. I have my label in place. So now I have these sides that need to be tacked down. So the first thing I want to tell y'all, and I don't know if y'all can see it, but this was a very light thread. And if I was thinking, I would have done a more medium thread to go with this binding, because it would have looked better, but I didn't. And to be honest, I don't even have a medium gray. I either have a dark or light. So I'd rather do light on dark than darker than the fabric. So I went with that. But now here I am. I do have a darker type color that it's not meant for the sewing machine. It has to be a hand stitch. So that's where this is coming in. And I got to tell you, it's very interesting. And I don't know how much you're going to be able to see on camera. The light shows up except in one area around this whole side. The dark shows up where the light doesn't, of course, but in the rest of it, it's very, very, very close for the majority of it. So I decided to go with this darker thread to do my binding, because remember I told y'all, the closer you can get matched, the less you're going to see mistakes. So there is an area that the light actually just fades away inside these inside the fabric, but it's just one little area. So I went ahead with the darker thread that I have that I can't put in the sewing machine. It's all about hand stitching. And once it's gone, it's gone. I'm not going to use it again. It's just I have so much of it, and we all know. I mean, I don't know how you are, but I'm going to use what I have, right? So that's where this is coming from. And I will say that I have already threaded my self-threading needle. Uh-oh. Might have, okay, I was going to say, I might have already pulled it out. And I put a hefty knot on the end. I think I did 7 loops on a quilter's knot. And that's what I wanted. I don't want it to come out. And typically I would start inside of the backing fabric. This time I started inside the label. And I'll be honest with you, the reason is because my hands are a little finicky today. And I need to get this done. And it was just easier. So I went ahead and started inside the label. And I'm coming out to the end. I'm coming out to the fold, right? So here's the debate I had. I debated on showing you guys all the stitching and just even fast. Uh-oh, look, see, that's not gonna work. You don't want it to show. It's not gonna work, guys. Oh, that's fun. So I'm gonna pull this out. That's exactly what you do. You just pull it out. It'll be all right. We haven't even gotten started. So life is good. But, you know, because my hands are a little finicky, I thought if I sewed this whole thing, even on high speed, I thought I might drive you all crazy. This is the same stitch that I used to put on the hanging sleeve that I showed a video in, and it's the same stitch that I'm using for, or that I have used for, you know, when you do the back side of your binding. So, exact same stitch. So I can put a link, much better. I can put a link for you to show you. I just thought y'all would be going nuts because there will be times when I'm going to rip out seams. Like you just saw. You're going to see me ripping out seams. So I thought it would be much easier or better for you as a viewer for me just to talk about it instead of you sitting here watching me and like going nuts. So I'm going to put a link up here and show you the places where I've done these stitches. It's the exact same stitch. Now I'm right-handed, so I'm going from right side to left, and I'll turn the quilt and I'll go from, this will end up being on my right when I turn it. I mean, I just took the light away, I know. But I'll turn the whole quilt, okay? And I'll go from right to left and I'll finish down here. And that way this label will be completely tacked down, okay? I thought that would be better, but if I'm wrong and y'all want to watch even on high speed because it's going to take me forever, I'm okay with that. You just have to tell me. Oh, see, that's a little too high. So I'm going to end up ripping that first stitch out. So you just have to tell me whether or not it was okay for me to show you, you know, a complete process even on high speed, because some people like to see that. And I'm okay with it. You just have to tell me. If you're okay with me just giving you links of things I've done in the past, yeah, I'm going to have to rip that out. It's just a little bit, see it? I don't know if you can see it. Oh, you should be able to. It's a little showing. And this is not my own home quilt. This is actually going to somebody else. So that's why it's important to me. If it was my own, I wouldn't rip it. I would just not do that. But this is what's going to happen today because I have clumsy hands. And so, like I said, if you would rather, I mean, I could put this on high speed too. You don't have to like sit there and watch real time. I'm talking about high speed. You just have to let me know. But in the meantime, I'll put the links up and I'm going to use the same stitching method that I did to put the hanging sleeve on and to put the binding on. So just let me know, and in the meantime I will come back at you, and the next time I do, I'm going to show you, if you can remember at the beginning of the video, I wrote the word test on that triangle, and I'm just putting it in the corner just to give an example because, you know, that's free, right? This is paid for, this embroidered. I don't have an embroidery machine, so I have to pay for this. And so that other method is completely free. And I have some other things to talk about based on things that have happened most recently. So in the next time you see me, I will have this done and I will talk to you about the corner with the triangle that I wrote the word test on as if it was a label. So I will see you all. So I'm back at you, and yeah, I think I'm the little one, and then I'm showing this screen on the top. Now this is the triangle that I wrote the test on, and of course you could write your name, who it's for, when you made it, who quilted it, who pieced it, whatever you want to write on there. It's all up to you. But, and of course I'm having a little issue seeing, so I'm going to use the camera to help me here. But what we're going to do is we're going to place this here in the corner. Now what I've got here is my Roxanne's glue. That's what I used on the other one, just to allow it. Now this is just a practice sandwich, and if you're wondering what these little squiggles are, that's how I check my tension, making sure that it was good on the other side. But all we're going to simply do is put a little bit of glue to hold it down. And of course I shouldn't have picked this up because I need to know how long to do it for, right? Okay. Just get it on there just a little bit. Well, that was actually a lot, but you know, let me stand up just for a minute. And we're going to place it on here. And at this point you have a choice. Got all kinds of bling on here. Thank goodness it's a practice sandwich. You have a choice here. You can actually iron it to help dry it more quickly, which is what I'll do real quick. All right, or you can just let it sit and dry. Completely up to you. And this is a practice sandwich, and I'm sorry, just hit the camera, or the table hit the camera. And so what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take some of my leftover that I had from the quilt y'all saw me working on. I'm just going to take some binding here. And yes, the reason I glued this is because it's going to be on the back side. I'm going to start on this side, and I'm going to get the binding down on what would be the back, the front. This would be the back of your quilt. So it's going to be on the bottom where you can't see it, and I want it to stay. And you could pin it. That would be a-okay to help keep that down. This glue holds pretty good, and it's not a very big piece, and I'm not going to be stitching very long, so I'm just going to run with it. So it's so weird. I'm trying to remember that I have two cameras going. Okay. And I'm just simply going to start on one end
making sure I go past it. Get the binding on really quickly. Oh, and look, my little, the foot ran away from me. How many of y'all have that happen all the time, right? I'm thinking about building something to get it to not move. There's so many ideas, and a lot of people have tried them. This is not a temporary studio, so I can't do anything that's permanent down here. And besides the fact, I don't know that I would, because I want to rearrange it. Oop, might help if I put the foot down. So we're just going to simply get it started. And of course I don't have my ruler, so we're going to have to guesstimate a 1/4 inch. This could be fun. Oh, and if y'all noticed, I did get a haircut in the middle of doing this video. So you're not crazy. I finally bit the dust and got her done. Okay. We just go back the other direction. I'm doing a little fake, well, it's not fake. I'm doing a mitered corner because that's what we would do on our own. Okay. And normally I clip it until I get it snug where it needs to go. Get my starter thread going. Oh, might want to put the lid back on the glue. That's always helpful. We're going to use it again. All right. Get this positioned. Put my needle down, take out my clip. Yeah, my machines are working through those layers, that's for sure. There we go. I don't know how far this thing is. Oh, I'm almost there. There it went. Okay, just do a back stitch so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, what do we got here? Let's take a peek, shall we? So as you can see, it is sitting snug and pretty right here, okay? Close your eyes. I'm going to try and turn down this lights just a bit. There we go. Okay, so got it on there, and then typically what you would do, let's see, I just had it. What did I do with it? You would take some kind of utensil to get that corner nice and pretty. And then what I do, and I've showed you all this before, which way is the bulk? Okay. And remember, I messed up the first time. So I'm very simply going to add some more glue, and I will press this. Make sure my iron's ready. Yep, it is. Okay. I'm going to pull it over. And I'm going to iron it first like this. Okay, and then my glue again. My hair's all over the place. You'd think with a haircut it wouldn't be so bad, but here, let's do it like this. I don't know what I was thinking. There we go. Getting a little line going on here. Now I'm just making sure that I bend it far enough that I pull it over that it overlaps this line right here. Okay, And I'm going to situate, get that off of there so it doesn't hurt my iron. And actually I have accidentally ironed before over top of that glue, and it was fine. So probably should lift this up just a bit. Either that, get this mitered corner in here. There we go. All right, now I'm gonna iron this real quick. And y'all saw my, my hands were probably covered in the glue. Just press it just for a bit. All right. Did I do it backwards? I didn't. Okay. So now, and what do I mean by backwards? The bulk of this fold is on this side, right? And then the bulk of this on the other side is over here. So you want the bulks to be on opposite sides, okay? So basically the fold on this, on the back, is going that direction, and the fold on this one is going that direction. Okay, so I just want to point that out when I talk about whether or not I got it backwards. That's what it boils down to. Probably could have poked that out just a little bit better, but as this is a practice sandwich, it's a-okay. Now what you will do is you're just going to simply do what you would do if you machine binded. Okay, this would be my front, correct? So we're going to machine bind inside, stitching in the ditch. Okay, this would have been my front, this would have been my back. Now you could very simply, at this point, you could very well do your hand binding to close this off, and that you would just make sure you're going through enough. I wouldn't say you'd have to tack down all the time inside, down all the way to the quilt, but I would do it a couple of times to be sure. And if it's not a difficult thing because of the bulkiness, then I would make sure to, you know, if it's too difficult, it's not a big deal just to do it every now and again. But if it's not that difficult, you might want to go through to the batting, okay? But you'd very simply stitch in the ditch and get, just like I did in that other video, stitch in the ditch along this seam right here, okay? And then it'll be attached. Now at this point, just like I showed you earlier, you have a couple of choices with this one, okay? You don't have to stitch this down. Matter of fact, it might be kind of cool if you didn't, okay? You might want to put like a little note in here, or maybe your cleaning, maintenance instructions. You know, a lot of people like to do a little instructions on how to care for your quilt. Maybe you put that in here, but you can put stuff as a pocket. If it's a real big worry for you, you could actually do another triangle on the opposite side, and that'll give you more equilateral kind of, or symmetry in the look, but it's not required. And I really like the idea of having a little pocket to put a nice little note, or your care instructions, or both, right? So that's why I really thought this was really a neat idea, and it certainly is not difficult at all. And it was inexpensive because I was able to pull from my scraps. I was able to find something to give me a 6-inch square so that I could fold it in half. If it bothers you, if this was going to be on the bottom corner, you might want to write from up here. And of course, I would measure about a 1/2 inch at least outside of this area, so that you didn't write into it. And you could very simply, if you weren't worried about it going through, or if you were, you could put a piece of cardboard in there temporarily and then put it on there first and then write on it, right? And that will make sure that you're only writing and not going to get your binding stuck inside or overlapping on top of your words. So this was a really, really cool idea. And I thought it was just fantabulous. Now, what I've actually ended up doing is I took a couple pictures. It was a little windy, so of the final quilt front and back. So on the back, you can see that there is in fact a label on it. Yay. And it's, you know, the beginning of the story, right? The story is there, that somebody will be able to begin to make the human connection to our beautiful work of art. And I gotta tell you, I'm gonna go, I mean, this is where I'm gonna end this. I'm going to tell you one of the cherubs inside Halo did something really cool, and I just have to talk about it. In her quilt, she actually had, I want to say her blocks were 7 inches, and it was a rag style, so you know who you are. And it was, so that means that you lose an inch, so it should finish about 6 inches. And what she did on the back of her quilt on one of those blocks was she took her writing utensil, and if I can remember right, she's a Sharpie girl, and so she very simply wrote out her quilt label on that block. And I thought, I had to share it because it's a great, fantabulous idea, because it'll be there forever and it's part of the quilt, so you can't even work hard to get rid of it because you'd have to take out a whole block. So brilliant idea. And I also got to thinking, with that hand stitching part, and you heard me talk about how I have clumsy hands and some days are better than others. I thought to myself, how can I make this easier? Now, one of the ways was taking a orphan block, right? But doing the same kind of a thing inside the binding, and then you'd have to hand stitch it again, right? So I got another idea. So I think instead of waiting until sometime next year, I'm actually going to do it. I think in January, I'm going to do another label. I need time to prep for it. So, and I'm going to use one of my quilts, but I have an idea. And I think that it will be so beneficial for us who, you know, hand binding or hand stitching can be, you know, you have your bad days and you just don't want to do it, you know, or you can't. So I thought, you know what, I'm going with this. So come January, I got another method, and I'm just going to show that method. And as things click with labeling, because there's so many ideas, I'm going to continue to do them periodically so that I can offer some inspiration. One method may work better for you, one method may not. And so that way you have something that works for you and your situation, because I think it is so important that we acknowledge that we're all different and we all like different things, and then we are all in a place where some things are better than others. So I really thought that'd be better. So I think in January is the first one, because that gives us, you know, this holiday season, and it gives me some time to prep for it for you guys, because I'm really excited about this, even for myself. Okay, so at any rate, so that's it, guys. That's the first part 2 of labeling, and I hope that I've inspired you to find ways to label your quilts if you haven't. Like I said, I'm a new labeler, but I'm on board and ready to have some fun with it and ready to share my story of my quilts, and I will love to read your stories of your quilts. So be sure to share some pictures of your quilt labels and your quilts, because we all love them. You can come join us inside the Creative Kingdom, and you just have to click the link below for the group called the Creative Kingdom. Answer the 3 questions, and then that way you will get your keys to the kingdom, and we'd love to have you in there. All of us would. We'd love to see you. But that's it. I will tell you guys, I'm taking the next 2 Wednesdays off, so you're not going to get, I'm sorry. I didn't know how to do it. So the reason is because we're actually traveling for Thanksgiving, and I'm not even in a family's home. We're doing an Airbnb in another place. So I will not have the same ability to do what I need to do for you and be successful. So taking the next 2 weeks, and I believe that 3rd Wednesday is our last Christmas Wednesday. I believe that's what's coming up. So get ready. Got a little treat for you. I hope you love it as much as I did, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to share it. So at any rate, I will definitely see you all in 3 Wednesdays from now. And until next time, guys, May y'all continue to be inspired, productive, and joyful, and never stop making your dreams in quilting come true. Hope to see you at 3 p.m. today on the Facebook Live. And happy quilting to each and every one of you. And if I don't hear from you or you don't hear from me, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see y'all soon. Love y'all. Bye-bye for now.